My name is Paul Booty. On behalf of my fellow committee members Christine Hayes, Kate Mitchell, Layla Sonier, Timothy Shade, Amy Swanson, and Richard Tengowski, I'm honored to present to you the 2017 WMEA Wisconsin Music Standards. This is the second of two videos meant to summarize the new Wisconsin standards. In part one, we explored the organization of the music standards. In this video, we'll look at Wisconsin modifications. In comparison to the 2014 National Core Music Standards, we've made a couple of changes. First, we reformatted the national standards. We did this with the idea that we wanted to create documents that would be clear and easy to use for our Wisconsin music educators. Second, we supplemented the connecting standards, including the addition of descriptive names, as well as some new standards altogether. Third, we added secondary general music. And finally, we edited numeric identifiers as needed. In this video, we'll explore each of these areas independently. First, we'll explore the new formatting that we've incorporated in the 2017 WMEA Wisconsin Music Standards. This is where we started. This is a sample from the 2014 National Core Music Standards, and I'm sure you've seen copies of this document. Within our Standards Revision Committee, we wanted to create documents that were as clear and easy to use as we could. With that in mind, we created two separate layouts of the standards. We created one set that's organized by grade level or level of proficiency, and another set that was organized by artistic processes. The reason that we created these two separate layouts is that we learned by talking to people across the state that different people process the standards in different ways. And especially, we noticed that elementary music teachers had different needs than did secondary music teachers. And so ultimately, we decided to create two different versions so people could use what was most beneficial in their setting. Second, we added color coding. You've already seen some of this in the first video, but there's a consistency of color that's used across all of our documents so that you can follow along easily. Third, we've adjusted where the numeric identifiers are placed. We moved these to the bottom right corner within each of the standards boxes, so the information is there when you need it, but not clouding the actual standard. Here's a sample of the PK through 8 general music strand organized by grade level. As you can see here, this particular copy is designed for second grade, and you see the creating, performing, responding, and connecting are all included. The color coding is present, as you see highlighted on the creating area, all in green. And finally, the numeric identifier is moved to the bottom right-hand corner of each box. Here's an example of the same pre-K through 8 strand, this time organized by artistic process. You can see on this version that we are looking at the responding category, and you can see in red that all grade levels are included. Once again, the numeric identifiers are in the bottom right-hand corner of each box. This particular page takes us from pre-K up through grade 3, and then the next page goes from grade 4 through grade 8. The next area of modifications was to the connecting standards. As you look at the WMEA Wisconsin Music Standards, you'll see our added language, personalize, and broaden. These replace number 10 and number 11 from the National Core Music Standards. I'll point out here that within each of these two categories, we have three specific standards. Each of these standards has a numeric identifier that includes a Wisconsin designator at the end. That's because these are our addition to the music standards. As we dig into these connecting standards, we'll connect back to the national standards for a moment. National number 10 read, demonstrate how interests, knowledge, and skills relate to personal choices and intent when creating, performing, and responding to music. We've kept this language in the Wisconsin standards, and I've labeled that here as personal connections. Number 11 on the national standards read, demonstrate understanding of relationships between music and the other arts, other disciplines, varied contexts, and daily life. We have included the core of that in our Wisconsin standards, but we've broken it into two sections, academic connections and human connections. The academic connections read, demonstrate understanding of the relationship between music and the other arts or subject areas, including musical and extra-musical considerations. And the human connections reads, exhibit understanding of the two-way relationship between music and people of various cultures, ethnicities, locales, and eras through an exploration of musical and extra-musical components. So the old number 11 has been broken into academic connections and human connections, and as you can see, each one of them has been somewhat expanded. In addition to these standards, we've included a few new categories, including literacy connections. Exhibit music literacy by speaking and writing about music, interacting with subject-specific words, symbols, and notation, and presenting musical concepts through movement, gestures, or other nonverbal means. We've also added affective connections. Highlight how music interacts with the affective domains such as feelings, values, opinions, wishes, personal awareness, or character. And then finally, under broaden, we've added musical connections. Highlight connections and celebrate distinctions within or across musical genres, including musical and extra-musical considerations. With the addition of literacy connections, affective connections, and musical connections, our committee feels that we have strengthened the connecting standards. We're excited to see how you put these to use. Our next area of modification was the addition of secondary general music. As you may recall, the 2014 National Core Music Standards included general music up through 8th grade. As a committee, we felt it was important to extend this into the secondary level to better meet the needs of music teachers across the state. Now, there were some challenges in doing this because the types of classes that are offered and the activities within these classes tend to be very eclectic for secondary general music. Because of that, we decided to pull standards from the various strands all into one central warehouse, the secondary general music strand, so that teachers would have easy access to a wide variety of activities in the standards document that they used. Here's what this looks like. First, you may notice the highlighted area that we have the ensemble strand represented, we have the technology strand represented, we have instrumental and vocal. Now this is simply a rewording of the harmonizing instruments strand, but we wanted to make sure that both the instrumental and vocal aspects were included for a secondary general music classroom. And finally, we have composition and theory. So we have all of the areas represented so that a teacher who is in the general music setting at the secondary level has access to all of the standards in one place. In addition, you'll notice that this particular page is from the artistic process of performing. Of course, there are parallel versions of this for creating, responding, and connecting. So with this, we've created a secondary general music strand that we hope is very useful for music teachers across the state. The final area of modifications have to do with tweaks to the numeric identifiers. I've already mentioned these in previous slides, but just to review, we've slid the numeric identifiers to the bottom right corner of each box, so they're present but out of the way. Also, in the artistic process of connecting, we've added a Wisconsin designator just to clarify that these are in fact different than the 2014 National Core Music Standards. In summary of the information from these two videos, the 2017 WMEA Wisconsin Music Standards Revision Committee has elected to adopt the 2014 National Core Music Standards. We believe there's great value in the ideas presented in the national standards, and we wanted to adopt those for the state of Wisconsin. That said, we also made some modifications along the way. For starters, we did a complete reformatting of the standards. Our hope is to have created documents that are clear and easy to use for Wisconsin music educators. Second, we supplemented the connecting area. We've done this by adding descriptive names, including personalize and broaden, and we've expanded the connecting standards into other areas as well. Third, we've added a secondary general music strand to meet the needs of music educators across our state. And finally, we've made some general modifications to the numeric identifiers as needed. To help you learn more about the 2017 WMEA Wisconsin Music Standards, we've included some resources at the end of this video. Please keep in mind that all of the slides from this video presentation are available as a downloadable PDF on the WMEA website. Feel free to download that so you have easy access to all of these resources. First, here are some national resources. Most of them are based on the NAFME website, including the general link to the website, a link to the standards as PDFs, as well as a glossary of terms, the opportunity to learn standards and needs assessment checklist, student assessment using Model Cornerstone Assessment, and then in addition, there is a link to the National Core Arts Standards, which has a different way of presenting the information. Here are some Wisconsin resources, including the Wisconsin Model Academic Standards in Music from 1997, as well as the Wisconsin DPI Curriculum Guide in Music from 2009. Finally, here is a list of all of the committee members for the Wisconsin Standards Revision Committee, including our positions. Feel free to contact any of us with questions. On behalf of all of my colleagues on the Wisconsin Standards Revision Committee, thank you so much for watching this video. We hope it's helpful for you as you strive to meet the needs of your students in your own unique classroom settings by implementing the 2017 WMEA Wisconsin Music Standards.